I am trying to figure out the best drivers to use for my projects. So I have a couple of them pulled up here. We're just gonna go through them, take a look, and see what works, what's best. So the main thing is you have 40-watt drivers, and then you have 20-watt, 24-watt drivers. And I want to know if there's really a big difference between them. I will have to test out myself. Obviously, I think the 40 watts will perform better, but if the frequency response is roughly the same, just a little quieter, wouldn't it be worth, using these for half the price? Let's see. I mean, obviously, I'll have to buy these and test them myself. So I'm aiming to get these, what do they call them? IMS mount system. That way you could change these out, figure out how they sound, and that'd be really good for testing. There are some that don't have that, but they do have a different response, and I'll show that here. So this driver is pretty much exactly same like this, except this one has that mount, and the price is very similar. 28 bucks versus 32 bucks, so $4 difference. I honestly think the one with the mount is better, because if you look at the graph here, I know this looks crazy slanted, but you have to keep in mind this is all dependent on material that you attach this to. So lighter material will be more reactive, more responsive to what the graph is, as long as it's rigid. The heavier it is, the harder it is for the low frequency response. So let's say if I use a thick piece of wood, this whole response will probably roll off more. I don't know how much more. I think you'll definitely still hear the low end, just not as aggressively as you would with something that's lighter, because the lighter material will be able to move more, so more amplitude. When it's heavier and it's just dependent on the weight of the driver, it's not going to move as much. So that's just keeping all this in mind. Another thing that's really important is I don't really want all this high frequency. If you look at any normal woofer, like this for example, they have a tweeter. They're always rolled off anyways in the high end. And I've seen people build all these speakers just running straight through the amplifier. And a lot of times they have, well, not a lot of times they have tweeter. Most of the time they don't have a tweeter. So they do get like this weird response. And I think like maybe this peak you hear really clearly on those foam boards. It's like, yeah, it's really piercing. It hurts your ears. Does not sound good. I definitely want to keep some high-end frequency in there, so I can get that that feeling of a full panel giving off that those high frequencies. So the whole panel is somewhat of a tweeter. So I might actually cross it later down to here and get rid of this like really high-end bump, But I am going to get a tweeter in there, and I'm going to actually embed it inside here near the actual driver. Because a lot of times they put on top, so they either have it completely separate, which I don't like, because they never have a baffle for the tweeter. And so, I mean, some tweeters you don't really need a baffle, and it probably will work, but with this moving in and out, and this is at a different frequency range, and it's gonna pass the tweeter, and the tweeter's right here, and the sound waves go down, it's gonna like interfere too much. The phasing will be kind of way off the charts because these are tall. They're gonna be at least 4 feet, and then tweeter on top of that. I understand there's towers. You have like 4 woofers and then the tweeter, but it's all, I don't know. Like I gotta test this stuff out. But my plan is to put the tweeter inside the panel, and I don't want to use this foam. I think the foam sounds horrible. I'm most likely going to use wood, some kind of plywood. I believe the ideal material would be like 2-inch cardboard, but I can't test it because I need to buy a whole stack, and it's like $1,000 worth of cardboard. And like, what if it's trash? I highly doubt it's gonna sound like trash, but I don't want to. You know, I'm in debt right now. Like, I can't spend no $1,000 on nothing. So, you know, I'm gonna barely be able to afford these little $15 drivers. So, it is what it is. You know, you gotta start somewhere. So, maybe in the future. Also, cardboard is bad against moisture, and it's not as durable. So, would be better off to figure out how to use wood instead. At least for now, you know. So anyways, about the drivers, this is the difference. So this one without the IMS system, this one just sticks straight to the panel. It looks like it'll sound better, and it probably would. Like if you're just using the driver by itself, I think this is amazing. Like, this probably will sound really good just by itself, no tweeter. You just put it behind your drywall or something. I would go with this because, for one, you don't need to interchange anything. Once you put it in for most applications. For my specific application, I will need to. For one, for testing, of course. Second, this is something I'm gonna sell. So it's I don't want the client to have to destroy the unit just to rip it off the wall or something. Anyways, I like this low end, and the steep is really nice because, you know, it has more power to run heavier materials. As the material gets a little heavier, this will be more flat, and it has the capability to run this. As we'll see later on, like, I'll even pull up. Like this one, this is really bad. This one you have to cut off. This is horrible. Cut this off with a crossover. I wouldn't even use this, to be honest. That's this one. I thought maybe this would be great, but no, because pretty much you can't use like any heavy material with it. It's going to sound like a piezo tweeter. Like, it's gonna sound like garbage. I think this is what I have on those panels as well, so it's even like amplified how bad they sound, because they did not sound good, to be honest. They you know, the bass not really there. It sounds nasty. It sounds very boxy because of this range over here is boosted, and then kind of no, like, the vocals are gone. There's no detail, but then you have this really sharp high end that just hurts your ears like crazy. So this one just sucks. You just can't use it. They have a 20-volt version instead of this, the crappy one, the 24-volt. I thought it would be a good option because it's $15 and we'll probably have the same frequency response, but it does not. Like, this is not going to be good. Like, you can't fix this, you know? That's the problem with this, is you can't fix it with a crossover. Maybe, like, if you cross it over here somehow, I don't know if you can even do that, but or did I close something on accident? Reopen. No, don't look at that. What is this? I think I closed something. I did. It was this one right here. Yeah. 20 watt. It has this black thing around like a tire. And it has the IMS system. I guess the suspension is plastic. Interesting. It does perform a little better. It's still not ideal because this is flat, so any heavier material, it's still gonna drop down on the low end, but it's not as crazy as the other one. Like, this is too much in my opinion, and like these humps are way too like up and down. This is more flat, and then here you could just cut off over here and have a tweeter, and that'd be fine. Even you run it by itself, I think it'll be okay. If you find out like the right damping material to kind of cut this off naturally, you know, maybe that'll be better. It's $20. This, it's an option. I also looked at this one. Probably one of the most unique, worst ones. Actually, it's not worse. I thought it was because you look at this graph and you're like, what the heck? What is this? This is garbage. But really, it's actually pretty good, because those graphs stop right here. You don't even see this part in the other graphs. This is 100. You look over here. This is 100. You know, you see that? And these numbers are a little more spread out. So really, this is like pretty flat. Like once you put this on a heavy material, you cut off all this high end, this should sound pretty good, but it's expensive. It's like $40. So I don't think I would go with that, to be honest. It has a really interesting like large suspension, which I think is how it gets so much of that bass response. It has so much wiggle room, you know. This part seems kind of small, to be honest. I hope you guys can even see what I was pointing at, because I was pointing the camera over here. But to continue, like, this is a viable option if it wasn't $40. I'm not gonna spend $40 on this. Even the $32 is a lot. And so I think the best option for my product will be this one. $28. Pretty straightforward. Has a big old magnet in the back. It has, you know, good top end, so I'm not really worried about the low end on this. Of course, you need a subwoofer for all of these if you're going to use it for main sound. This is just going to be like surround sound kind of deal, so it's not really even important, this very low end part. This can be rolled off because I don't even need this. I don't really care about this. I'm going to use a tweeter. And for the tweeters, actually, let me see if I have it here. This all Dayton audio. There's let me take a look real quick. There's a specific SB audio. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay, I think I found it. No, I did not find it. SB audio. Okay, well, anyways, SB acoustics. Maybe it's here. You guys probably saw me through the reflection. That was embarrassing. This one, it has a really flat response. This is the SB19 ST. It's ugly, straight up. Like, this is an ugly tweeter. This thing ugly, bro. But it's super, like, flat from 1K. They also have, where is it? It's almost always here. It's not the, I think it's the 25 or the 24. Anyways, it's a little more expensive though. That one is like almost like 38 bucks, I think. So yeah, it's just ugly. That's just one thing I don't know what to do with. It's really ugly, but I think it will sound the best. I might look at other tweeters, but it's also really thin, and it can fit within the material a lot better, I believe. And to counteract the weight of this, because this is going to create uneven weight within the panel, I'm going to have exactly a, what is this called? An exciter on each side, and the tweeter is exactly in between. So it's balanced. So I have 2 of these running a panel, plus the tweeter in the middle. So this was a long video. Holy balls. Anyway, maybe later I make a much better video, much easier explanation, and with like actual testing and stuff. But this is what I got. This is what it is. This is what I'm doing. This is how it. Yeah, I'm gonna do some other ones to check out. I haven't looked into like every single one. Let's look at this real quick. Yeah. Okay, maybe don't ever use that one. Holy moly. Yeah, don't use that one. Okay. So yeah, I like these. I want them. Probably gonna get these. Okay, bye.